Redundancies, vigor transformations. What I'm going to just kind of discuss real quick. A workout you can do with the TRX and just kind of understanding angles and how to use it. You can get way better movement patterns with the TRX than you can kind of if you're struggling with body weighted movement patterns. Like kind of having something to hold on to, it kind of really helps. So maybe you're struggling with range of motion for a squat, trying to learn how to do a push-up. Okay. I can make this easier, and I can learn how to do it. The other great thing that kind of just even dawned on me is learning your angles with this is kind of huge. You can start to kind of understand like what's a good angle that I want to take, what's a bad angle, okay? A lot of 45 degrees angles is kind of always my best way to look at it. If I want to do a squat, I'm going to do a squat to a row. So I want to get back, I want to be at the top of my row position when I start this. Okay? So here I am, right at the end of my row. If I want to make it harder, I come forward a little bit. If I want to make it easier, go to my end. Now I go into my squat, drop all the way down, drive with my legs, and I pull. And I'm adding a rotation in, so my palms are going palms down to start. Palms close, open to, palms together to start. And then as I come down, I let them rotate to go palms down. And I push with my glutes, my hips. I should say hips. Gotta get out of habit saying glutes. It's your whole hip comp. I'm driving with my hips. If you're driving with your hips, your glutes will fire. If you're driving with your glutes, your hamstrings. It's kind of, again, a domino effect. Same thing with the arms. It's my lats that are doing the work here, okay? My back. So I'm leaning, I'm pulling my shoulder blades together and back as best I can. I let them kind of slowly get pulled apart a little bit, and let my arms just naturally rotate to get into this position. And now I drive with my glutes. As I hit that midpoint, I start to pull with my back. Hard part with a lot of this is not pulling with the hands, okay? There's nothing at the end of this. It's just like a crane, okay? The crane motor's here. This is picking it up. This is just holding on, okay? It's got strength, but there's no power. The power comes from the shoulder complex. So as I drop into this, let everything kind of drop, drive with my legs, pull with my back. Release with my back, still pushing with my glutes, my hips, I gotta be better at saying that. Drive with my hips, pull with my back. Back goes back, driving with my hips. Using the whole foot too, okay? I wanna make sure I'm pushing with that whole foot. The more I can push with the whole foot, the better. You realize hip angle matters the most. I'm not gonna get into that now. This is just on the TRX aspect. If you want to learn or understand more about the hip, check into the other videos. Driving with the hips, driving up and pulling. Okay, releasing with the back, driving with the hips, and repeat that process. Now you could, if you wanted to, again, explode. Down slow, always. Explode. Now, I personally am noticing I'm pushing more with my left hip than my right, so I started focusing on my right a little bit more. A lot of that's going to come from our tightness. We'll discuss in other ones. I'm going to go into a push-up from here. These ones are really hard, so if you have a hard time with this, would be a good alternative. A good alternative might be just even stretching, okay? So coming into this, stretch, and back. Because in order to feel strong in a push-up, we need flexibility in the upper body. And a lot of us are becoming really too tight in the kind of shoulder chest area, sometimes to perform them well. So we might be better off just kind of stretching. This would be even here where I might hit the percussion gun, kind of stretch that area, work here. I also got to work the back too. Okay, so I need equal and opposite reaction. So front's tightening, back's tightening. Again, you got to think of it getting kind of solidified on both sides. That's where my next movement will come in. We'll do an eye fly. That will kind of help promote more shoulder movement. Now, if you want to do the harder one, the push-up, up on the balls of the feet, body is straight. I drive. I put my waist always into this, okay? I'm not holding on by any means. The grip's just there. The cables or straps are going to rub lightly across my arms. Maybe even pause at the bottom. Make sure I'm pushing as best I can with the chest. And again, my chest is stabilizing, my back is stabilizing, my arms are doing the movement for the most part. For years, it took me years to understand what was happening when people were kind of talking about all this stuff being arms. And I realized it's because they're tensing their shoulder so much. Again, a lot of that is just scar tissue that develops. You get increased mobility in order for that to happen. Here, so you can see a little bit better. Pressures, pointer finger, thumb side. A lot of people too much pressure on the outside. If I'm pushing on that outside, I'm going to push with my tricep, the outside of my shoulder. It's going to be extremely hard. I'll kind of even show you, right? So my pressure's on the outside. I'm going to start wobbling. I can feel that really all on my right shoulder too. Okay, really hard. Makes me tense because I don't feel strong. If we don't feel strong, we're going to tense. If we tense, we're not going to do the movement pattern correct. So, we got to understand the difference between kind of fatigue and having a hard time, or just being too tight and having a hard time. So again, if this is too hard, I might come in a little bit. Might just work a little bit of a range of motion here. I find chest presses for a lot of people to be kind of one of the hardest things to do, movement pattern wise. A lot of people end up in a lot of shoulders because again, my shoulders are up here and I'm pushing. That changes everything unless they're down here. A lot of that too is people are just unfortunately so tight they don't have a choice. And that's what I've now completely comprehended and understand that we need to do for people is we need to get them more pliable to be able to do the movement, to make them more comfortable and confident doing it. We can't just keep throwing more challenging exercises at them and hoping for the best. Okay, so coming in, down. Again, if this is too hard, I might kind of come in, stretch, I push a little bit. Come in, stretch, push. I'm trying to maintain the same angle with my back throughout the movement as best I can. So I'm slightly leaning forward here. I step the back of my spine, so you can see how I hyper-arch a little bit. This is where I think what I want to do now is kind of start video recording on my clients is going to come in tremendously helpful because they'll start to be able to see what they're doing. And I think that's the biggest thing, even myself included. I don't always see what I'm doing. All right, I'm going to come back to squat, row. Squat. Turn, drive with the hips, pull. I'm going to repeat that process. Down, being loose, drive, and pull. Now, if I was better, I might kind of work a better angle with my legs. Okay. So I can kind of hold myself. Okay, I might fall over. I probably would fall over. But if I want to try and get better, keeping a better angle when I squat, I'm going to make it a little bit more challenging. It's a little less row, it's a little more legs. A little slower on the gait on this. Yeah, I've been just working in percussion therapy for months to help get myself ready to start even attempting this. And now I can understand what I need to fix. All right, I'm going to come back and push up. 10 to 15, I really wasn't counting, sorry. So push up. My weight remains into this. Pushing through pointer finger area. Core tight. And the core should be tilted down. That's the best way you can say it, that pelvic bone. I realized for years our pelvics are getting kind of tilted up. This is what makes stuff so hard for people. And the other way to look at it too is where I am on my body. This is lined up with my chest, pushing with the medial part here. I start to push, you can even see my shoulders just elevated to get them up there. That's where a lot of people stay, fortunately. But again, we can start to fix that. I'm going to go into what I was going to show before. So another set of that, 3 sets. I'm kind of moving along here just for the video part of this. We're going to go an eye fly off that squat. So I'm going to start palms down, squat down, drive up, and coming up. I'm reaching out of my sockets here, okay? I want to try and keep tension on the strap as best I can. Drive with the hips and I pull. Drive with the hips and I pull. Again, I'm trying to drive a little bit more with my right. I noticed my right does not fire as well as my left. Part of that, again, is this tightness I'm working on. Now, I'm going to make it even harder. You drop down the bottom, drive. Maybe you go a step further. Wrong one there. And go pull, pull, pull. Totally different movement, but I'm going to keep on the same concept of kind of front back here. The only thing with the TRX, sometimes you are a little limited on the pushing aspect because of people's tightness. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go push to a fly. Now this one's usually really hard for a lot of people. I'm going to show you an easy way to do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be up a little bit higher. Most of my weight's in my left arm. I'm going to push. And I might even just stay on that same side, honestly. The other way would be to do a fly. I don't know if I like to fly too much anymore. It's a really hard movement. Yeah, too hard for a lot of people with the shoulder issue. A better way to do it might be to come in. Actually, that's a really good way. Push. Okay, so I come in and then push. Come in. It's a really good way. Think about it. Because again, think if we're coming in, we're driving with this right, I'm over exaggerating it, I'm pushing myself out of it. So from here, I come in, it comes out, I push. Now I drive, technically that'd be bent, okay? Pushing myself back. Pushing myself back. Push. Alright, so coming in, this one comes out to the side, push. Push. Again, that's why I've always hated making videos. I'm always worried somebody's out there doing something wrong. I don't want to promote the bad body mechanics. So if you're having a hard time, just come out into that fly. Sit into it, stretch back. Nothing wrong with doing something that you're better at to move up to that which you struggle with. You know, every once in a while you can give it a shot, see if it feels better. This is what I do with my clients all the time. It's a good way to measure progress. Instead of sometimes jumping into a harder exercise right away, make it easier and then kind of mark your progress. And that's what I'm hoping to do with kind of recording all this stuff for my clients, is being able to mark your progress much better. Okay, so I'm going to go back into that first one, eye fly, squats, drop down. Okay, again, pointer fingers, thumbs. Okay, no pinkies. Pinkies don't matter. I brush my back a little bit there. It's the hard part. It's not to want to do one of these. Okay, should keep my core a little bit tighter. There we go. Oh. That's the hard part too, right? If we're too tight here, it makes us kind of hyper arch with our lats. I realized I couldn't figure that out. I always thought it was just the shoulder, but I realize now it's the lat. And I'm doing this just to keep the fascia moving too. Okay. Makes it easier to kind of, again, start facilitating more movement. You gotta focus on the right hip personally again. Good. Back into the opposite. I'm not quite making a full video here. I just want to make this for a couple of my clients that had asked. Now the easier one, stepping in, stretch. You can get nice and big with that too if you want. Stretch. Careful with the wrist too. not hooking, straight. Not hooking, so I land into that, I'm out like this. Coming in, out, and it's not coming out hook. That's one of the other things that's hugely important, kind of show on a row. Okay, I want my wrist straight. A lot of times people do this. Now that's forearm, okay? That's gonna force me to pull with my arm if I curl this wrist. Angles matter. So again, if, you know, martial arts, that has to be straight. If that's not straight, it can hurt my wrist. Same thing happens when you're exercising. You need really good angles. Okay? So if I'm lifting and doing a bicep curl, I need this nice and straight. Okay? A lot of times, now don't get me wrong, there's ways to flare and do that. But you want to do that intentionally. You don't want to do it unintentionally. So I'm doing a bicep curl that's nice and straight. So again, same thing if I'm rowing. Okay? Wrist is here, straight. A lot of times people curl as they start to pull in. Nice and straight. Elbow to hip. Here's a good short dumbbell movement pattern real quick. So that was 2 of the TRX. So 1 more set of that one. Pause the video if you want. What I'll do is, I guess, it would make sense since I kind of showed you guys already how to row properly. Okay, so I'm going to go 1 hand at a time. I'm going to go core tight. I'm going to hinge over about a 45-degree angle with the back. Could be lower, could go flat back, which is harder. Okay, pointer finger and thumb, and I'm going elbow to hip. Elbow to hip. And what I'm trying to promote too is big movement, coming over. Big movement, coming over. I used to kind of work this kind of shoulder flat cap, but I realized again, we want to promote bigger movement, bigger. But within our limits, okay? So I'm here, I'm wrapping that around my back. Wrapping it around my back. So squeezed, squeezed, squeezed. Now you could do this 2 at a time. I'm demonstrating 1 at a time. You can kind of see I'm going to come forward too. Now my dumbbell is slightly at an angle with my hand, okay? Not this. All too often, I see this happen all the time. People are here. Changes everything. Angles change everything, okay? So I would do 15, 1 each side, even it out. Opposing movement pattern, and that would be something with a chest or shoulder. Again, also on the rows, just to kind of throw it out there, I used to see it for years and I understand it now. People would come and they tense stuff. Now I'm pulling, okay, with the front of my body. I'm not pulling with the back. So when I end up with my angles, I should end up looking like this, okay? Not like this, not like this. Opposite of the back. Squeeze. You can do it with a weight or a plate. And I think it's something easy to do this with people. I'm going to use 2 plates. You could get away with a light dumbbell, and I'll show you how. I'm going to squeeze these guys together, and I'm coming out. Trying to keep my elbows out. I notice my left forearm higher than my right. I'm squeezing. That's where it really comes from. It's just kind of squeezed together. So again, even if I get a light dumbbell, well, you know what you can do? You can take kind of 2 really light dumbbells, put them together, squeeze them. I'm going to take my thumbs, my hands are too big. Squeeze together and extend out. Now what I'm trying to do is straighten on my wrist as I go. Oh, yeah. Now I'm going to bend a little bit when I come in and extend when I come out. Now I could just sit out here and hang out here. Oh, really work muscles. Pull in slow, still squeezing. Coming out, squeeze. Trying to extend those arms. Again, I'm reaching too. I, for years, was trying to keep them pulled back. And helpful to each, okay? But what I realized the most from my own experience is that I wasn't doing big enough movements. I was getting them in martial arts somewhat, but I realized I might have been tensing. But again, I wasn't facilitating all of them. And the biggest one is my hip. My hip has got to move well. My hip doesn't move well, the rest of my body does not move well. And that's where the percussion therapy really comes in handy. Row, flat back, 2, reach, 3, reach, 4, reach, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Now, if I wanted to, I could even add in a rotation to make it a little bit more, again, of a reach. So come across a little bit. 1, 2, 4, side angle. 5, 6, 7. Plate squeeze. I'm going to use the plates again. I find it more comfortable. So squeeze, fingers are even. Now put my thumbs around. Reach. Breathing too. Breathing's huge, right? I'm using light weights to kind of really demonstrate stuff today. But inhale, exhale, inhale. Again, not rushing. I used to make it a habit. As I explore a little bit more, I'll do it again in terms of like 1 week explosive, 1 week slow. You could switch it off. You can switch it in between sessions like I used to do. But the biggest thing is noticing if you're getting too tight, okay? I missed it. I missed that one. I knew it was happening, I just didn't know how to fix it. Now, thankfully, I'm proud to say that I understand completely what happened to me, and I understand completely how to fix it. And now I can take that to me with workouts and exercise. I'll do something real quick and easy for the last one. We're just going to go bicep, tricep. Got to finish up one more set of that for everybody else to be working out. Try to do 3 sets. Okay, bicep coming in. Now I could do this with dumbbells too. So I'll show them with the dumbbells and I'll show them with the TRX. I'm going to start palms down, core tight, coming up. Again, I want to keep the body nice and straight. You know, you can do the same workout without a TRX if you really think about it. So first what I would have done was just kind of regular squats. You might come up into an arm up. You could do it with weights too. So, okay. So I could squat, up, up, up. Okay, so that would have been your first one. I-fly might have been a little bit harder, but I could go lightweight and I could work that, or maybe what I would do is something like this. Okay. It's kind of the great part of working out. You can, there's always an alternative movement pattern for anything. There's no reason to wait for it in the gym for somebody else to finish something. You find something, just same thing. Okay, bicep curls, really just doing this for the form. Okay, coming up, palm in, keeping it that way before I hit the leg. Up and down. 1, 2. I used to really focus on squeezing, and again, I could squeeze at the top, but if my muscles are loose enough I realize now, when I was in my 20s, I didn't focus on any of that. I just kind of moved and focused on good angles. I realize now. And then I started getting too focused on what muscle did what and what muscle did this. And, you know, I was kind of working really on injuries and kind of fixing people. And I lost sight of what happened in kind of that 10-year span from kind of 25, maybe 30 to 40. And I realized what had happened. I started focusing on sensing too many things and not enough big movement patterns and just not enough variety, honestly. That was the other thing. Even though I was doing martial arts, thinking I was getting everything I needed, I wasn't focusing on my weaknesses outside. Tricep extension, okay, elbows in, push. Really hard one for a lot of people. I realize now why it's hard is because if you don't really have much distance between your humerus and your shoulder blade, your tricep is already like clenched. It's just so tight because you're walking around like this. And it becomes really hard to develop that tricep in the back of the arm. I redeveloped mine just by kind of lengthening my tissue in my shoulder again. And I realized that's what leads to lack of definition in the arm, is they don't have the extensibility in the arm. All too often you find a lot of scar tissue, okay? It's not your bone here. A lot of people are thinking this is your humerus, okay? Even I did in the beginning. Then I'm like, wait a minute, my humerus is about an inch deep. So that isn't bone, that's scar tissue that's developed over the years. It's not actually your bone that's sticking out there. That's your rear deltoid tricep. Okay. Elbows in tight. Now what I could do is kick back. A little bit on the heavy side, I haven't done these in a while. Okay. Hips are off. Trying to push the whole time, it's really hard, okay? So I push coming up, and I push coming down. Push coming up, and I push coming back. Okay. So again, very hard, but very effective exercise. I could do this 2 at a time too, kind of like skiing. Okay. Going with a little heavier weight than I usually do. I haven't done it in a while. Same thing, 3 times, 3 sets, 10 to 15. You can go into later in terms of stuff for strength, stuff for looks and all that stuff. But these are your 2, 4, 6 exercises. You can do my complete 9. But it's a good start. All right, hopefully you found that helpful and informative. If you have time, which I don't today, but you could do another set of 2. Okay, I would probably stick with the biceps and triceps personally to carry that out. Or you could add in some kind of core exercises. Again, really kind of working the stability. I'll probably make a video about that soon in terms of what's best for the core. All right, hopefully you found this helpful and informative. I'm going to stay tuned for the other ones. Thank you.